Shavua Tov and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Newsreel viewers. We are hosting today to our daily brief Dr. Ron Schleifer, a psychological warfare expert. We will record this brief and we will broadcast it later today all over our platforms. If you do have questions, you can open your microphones at the end of this brief and Dr. Schleifer will answer your questions. Dr. Schleifer, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, good week from Jerusalem. Good afternoon, America. I was asked to speak about the psychological warfare perspective of what Israel should be doing. Well, let me begin by introducing you to the bigger picture. In one word, the bigger picture is called InfoWar, which is an acronym for information warfare. And the Iran case makes a unique case study in this respect. Information warfare is the doctrine which combines cyber deception and psychological warfare and military media relations into one coherent doctrine, which is opting to replace the physical warfare, or at best to complement it. And what we see in the Iranian case, that Iran is deploying this newly conceived doctrine fully, and leaving aside the physical, the kinetic war. And it's, as I was saying, it's a very interesting case to see whether this can work or not. Personally, because I am a conservative and pretty old, so in a sense, I think that the only way to finish the Iranian ordeal is by boots on the ground. But maybe I'm too conservative and not flexible enough. But anyway, I follow with great interest. Besides being an Israeli who is constantly asked whether we should open our shelter, whether we can go abroad this week, or should we postpone it, as if I know some things that other Israelis should know. Anyway, so the first element of information warfare is cyber. And today we heard that the water installations in Minnesota and in other places in the United States were attacked by cyber attacks, and the aim is the computers that control the amount of chloride in the water reservoirs. So if they will be able to change the amount of chloride that the computer controls into the water reservoirs, that means that water, drinking water, will be poisoned and unfit for consumption. And this is serious. Etc. You can extrapolate and see that it could move on to electricity, it can move on to traffic, to railroad traffic, initiating collisions, etc. It seems, there's no big secret, but we've been suffering in Israel such attacks for quite some time. And though naturally the authorities don't like to discuss it. Let's say that it is a reason for concern in Israel. Why information warfare is so important, and why is it deployed by Iran? The answer is quite obvious. From the military perspective, the Western armies have shown the superiority over the Iranian army and the Iranian Air Force and the Iranian Navy. So they practically have no choice but to use another non-kinetic format of warfare. Another very important element is that the doctrine of the use of information as a doctrine, as a form of warfare, it doesn't give the enemy an excuse to attack back. In Latin, it's called casus belli, the reason to start a legal reason to start a war. Because they can hide the origins through various nodes on the way. It can start in China and move to Europe, and Europe it moves to Mongolia, and then it moves to Africa. It's very difficult to trace it where it comes from. It's doable, but difficult. So we don't practically know if this is an outright Iranian attack or not. And since we don't know, we cannot start a war officially against Iran. And to start officially a war, you need the consent of the Senate and Congress, etc., etc. This goes very well with the philosophy how to conduct a war in the Arab world. Always to go on the verge and not to cross the line completely, always walk along the line, which is the tradition mechanism or principle of war in the Arab world. Until you gain, the enemy is unaware, and then you attack with full force, as we have seen in October 7th. Anyway, so this is the cyber attack. Deception. I will say in brackets what I always say. In my humble opinion, Iran already has the bomb, what it can deceive the world on the fact that it doesn't have yet, but it's very, very near achieving it as a form of pressure against the West. Secondly, Iran keeps under a very, very thick level of secrecy the number of missiles which it has under its disposal, and so now what is left, of course, it continues to show that it has a full missile capability in order to raise the level of concern with all its enemies, with the United States, with the Gulf states, and naturally Israel. So now we come to psychological warfare. The Iran has invested a lot in this particular area of psychological warfare by penetrating WhatsApp lists in the West, in America, in Europe, and especially in Israel. And it's been done for over a decade. And just like in the espionage world, it's the same here. It lay dormant. It delivered truthful information in order to gain credibility. And when they get the command go, and then they start what is called in the doctrine of psychological warfare to drive a wedge, divide and rule, to get various groups within the enemy against themselves. So they would deliver information, sometimes false, sometimes true, sometimes partially truthful. One very successful, unfortunately, very successful example is this insert that they gave through a WhatsApp group that is after October 7, that Israeli hospitals are treating Hamas terrorists, and on the way they put away Israeli wounded soldiers and treating Hamas terrorists on the first priority. This caused Israelis to come and protest by the entrance of the hospitals. Turned out that this was a hoax, but this gives you an example how effective such a measure can be, and it basically costs nothing. So this is what I'm not. Of course, I'm not getting into all the lobbyists and the PR campaigns that Iran is doing in the United States. That goes without saying. Now, what needs to be done against Iran? Unfortunately, the countermeasure of driving a wedge inside the Iranian society doesn't seem to work, because the Iranian regime came very hard against the protesters and executed them. It pulled wounded demonstrators out of hospitals and killed them. And by that, they created a very effective deterrence against the future mutinies against the government. The Iranian psychological warfare theme is that we're unstoppable, and you'll never be able to do anything against us. And Islam is going to prevail, and Iran is going to have the bomb, and so forth. It's part of this campaign is to show the incapability of President Trump and American foreign policy to do anything effective against Iran, and it works. And of course, it causes a lot of despair and lowers the motivation of the suffering people of Iran, those who are not connected tightly to the regime, ideologically or financially, it lowers their motivation, and this is a problem. The only possible measure, psychological warfare measure, which I can perceive is the holy city of Qom. Qom is the religious city of the Ayatollah's regime, of the Shiite ideology. And this is where their madrasas, the universities, the religious universities are centered. And this is where the ideologists and imams are centered. And this is where their strategic planning institutions are centered. This, in my opinion, is the only possible psychological warfare measure that the West can take. Now, having said that, I don't think it will ever happen, or not in the near future, or unless the Iranians are going to seriously provoke and make a big mistake on their part by attacking something of importance to the West. Why is that? Because we're a democracy, and democracies are very reluctant to deploy psychological warfare. Democracies sanctify the freedom of religion. And in short, this is not considered a legitimate measure to attack the religious center. Something that civilized people don't do, that sort of thing. So I don't think this is going to happen, but I'm sorry if I paint the picture so dark when at the moment, I think the Iranians have the upper hand on the psychological warfare battleground against the West, against the Gulf states, and against Israel. The driving the wedge strategy is, as I was saying, has not been effective anymore. Definitely after the mutiny was put down, I think America and Israel should reconsider what they're going to do. The Iranians are stalling for the elections, both in America, the midterm, and the elections in Israel in 3 months. Nobody would dare to rock the boat. This is one of the disadvantages of being a democracy, but we have to take the bad with the good. This is my take on psychological warfare. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you, and have a good week from Jerusalem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schleifer. Gentlemen, if you do have any questions, that's the time to open your microphone and ask.
Okay, Ronan, how are you?
Hi.
Okay, Doctor, very interesting. And I'm just going to take the time to bring it closer to home. Psychologically, on October 7th in Israel, where was the Air Force? Where was the Army? Why did it take them so long to mobilize? That's number one. Number two, if the Radwan forces, which seem to have got east of Dimona, let's assume they'd got to Hebron, what would psychologically the so-called Palestinian police have done if they saw a Hamas column arriving, literally having cut the country in half?
Well, if you want the
No, you. I want the
conspiracy.
truth. I want the emes from you.
Look, I haven't been at the Air Force command center. Both sides, the conspiracy theorists and the practical theorists will have a valid answer. The fact is that there was no Air Force, and the fact is that the Air Force was threatening not to be deployed the weeks and months before October 7th.
Maybe the day before, maybe on October 6th.
Yeah, okay. I haven't been there, and there are many serious military commanders who say openly that it was intentional. Okay. Another explanation, which is no less valid, is that the Air Force, since the attack on the communication centers in the South was so effective, the Army at the highest levels had no idea what is going on. Now, if they had no idea what is going on, they could not deliver any commands. And the Army is very structured, especially the Air Force, which some Israelis says it's the nearest foreign army closest to the IDF. They are very structured, and they are limited, and they are, from day one, they are trained to obey orders from their superiors. Now, there were no superiors to give orders, so they waited. These are the two sides which are equally logical I'm sorry, I cannot give you what you're looking for, but I can tell you, I can see where you're aiming at, but there are some serious Air Force and military commanders who say that it was intentional. The Air Force was stalling intentional. But this only some people say otherwise.
Okay, that's terrible to hear. But yes. Okay, the second question, what if the forward columns of Radwan had actually got into the West Bank to Hebron? Yes. The Palestinian, so-called Palestinian police, which are armed. Yes. What would they have done if they saw Hamas group rushing into the West Bank?
If they would have joined them.
Well, they would have joined them. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, they would have joined them. You have to realize that it's very easy to spark a fire when the fumes are ready. It's very easy, and one spark can explode the whole thing. We have very worrying informations coming from the Judea and Samaria. We're talking about 30,000 trained people. 30,000 people trained in coordination makes a very powerful force potentially against the IDF. We have Golani paratroopers, Givati, and other battalions or divisions. I'm sorry. So I've named 5, 6, 7. If you have 30, that means that they have 30 divisions, 20 divisions. This is very, very worrying. And now Air Force is replaced by drones. And since they have the art of digging the tunnels, we should assume that they have tunnels, attack tunnels. This is something we need to worry about. Definitely need to worry about. I spoke about it last week, and I was asked afterwards, people contacted me, say, how can we actually raise the awareness to this danger? And I said, I gave a list of steps that need to be done. You have to write policy papers. You have to have a media campaign, and then you turn to the politicians, and they would in turn instruct the security organizations to take measures. This is as far as that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I mean, I can go on for a long time. What percentage of the Palestinian police are Fatah at night? All of them? Half of them?
All of them.
All of them. Wow. Wow.
All of them. The Palestinian police is Fatah, and Fatah are the largest party within the PA, the Palestinian Authority, and is basically tribal. The tribal thing. The people of Gaza are originally from the southern part of Israel that escaped to Gaza, to Egypt, in 1948. And they have, there is a unique cohesion of them, which Hamas took over. So Fatah took over the central population, Palestinian population of 1948, and incorporated them into their organization.
Okay, well, here's another question. The army
Yeah.
doesn't like the settlers, but
Yes.
if we think there are 30,000 Palestinians that are playing policemen during the day and are Fatah at night, then those settlers are the first line of defense, sitting on every hill in Judea and Samaria.
Yes.
And how come how come the army doesn't understand that?
That's a social issue.
Okay.
That's a social issue. The army, the highest command are from the traditional Israel. They are, I wouldn't say detached, but not necessarily of religious background. And they are highly indoctrinated against those settler troublemakers. And some of the settlers are troublemakers. And the main principle of the mainline Israeli higher echelon, higher social echelon, views Judea and Samaria as an obstacle to peace. And the settlers are an obstacle themselves, and nearly most of them are religious. And if
but they are knitted cap religious. They're not tzitzit. They're not black religious, black hats.
It doesn't matter.
Soldiers.
It doesn't matter. For the secular, whatever color the kippah, the cap is of no consequence. They're so ignorant of the fine tuning of the Israeli religious society. For them, if whatever textile, whatever color the cap is, it's the same to them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, guys? Yep.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Dr.
Ronan.
Schleifer. Thank you. We hope to see you again next week.
Before you go,
Good.
apologies.
Please.
May
Yes,
I ask
sure.
a question, unless you have to finish?
So
No,
no,
that's
go
okay.
on. Go on.
Okay, thank you. I've just made random notes. Thank you very much for your insight. It seemed to be that Israel wasn't sure what to do, and Iran's winning and attacking Com is the only solution. But may I throw a few suggestions out just
Sure.
for consideration? It seems to me that Israelis are quite young in the region. We've only been there 80 years. We don't really understand it well, because my understanding is that Arabs and Iranians have been fighting for millennia, and the Iranians have been kicking the Arabs around for that long. So that's just one point. As I understand, Turkey and Iran are traditional enemies. Azerbaijan is a long-term rival. Russia also is a long-term rival. It occupies part of Iran, has done for a couple hundred years. So I wonder if it makes sense to use the traditional enmity of these people and not always fight ourselves.
Yeah.
That's one thought. The other thought is, there's an old saying, follow the money. And I know America's quite, well, with Trump, America's quite strong on trying to close off all the funneling of money. But you know, that's another way to attack. And the final thing I want to say is that my understanding is that millions upon millions of Iranians, and I'm well in touch with the Iranian community in London where I live, millions are deserting Islam and returning to Zoroastrianism, and that mosques are empty. So it may also be that we need to have some strategic patience and just maybe weaken Iran, because if we do destroy the regime, or if America destroys the regime, then Turkey, which might even be a greater threat, is going to could easily fill a gap. So a lot of points. So I just wondered if you could respond to some more.
Okay. It's okay. Exploit the rivalries. It is good. It is good. The trouble is that Khomeini has closed the gap between Shiites and Sunnis about 50 years ago, and blocked a lot of that. He blocked a lot of such enmities. True, follow the money is very expensive, very expensive. It's about $150 a case, and money has a form like flooding water. It flows to it can be diverted and reshaped in a million formats. So if you block one channel, they move immediately and very easily to a different channel. So it is quite, it's a Sisyphean effort. Religious Zoroastrianism. The trouble is that modern governments, Western governments, don't understand religion because they're basically secular. This is why Islam is picking up so quickly within the West. So it's not within their conception. They cannot perceive such a thing. It's just like I started talking Chinese to you right now. We're not on the same level. Israelis, the Israeli leaders to this day could not really understand why Gaza has not turned into Singapore. It had all the possible opportunities to become a Singapore. So much money is being pushed into Gaza, and what they do with the money, build tunnels. Okay, so because for 300 years the world does not think, except for Islam, the Western world does not think in religious terms, and they cannot understand it. This is why it is not used as a political tool against the regime. This is, unfortunately, this is the situation. I'm sorry if I'm a bit depressive, but this is how it is.
Don't worry. One further question, if I may, on a totally different topic,
Sure.
if that's permitted. I wonder if it's worth following the Iranian trick. And what I mean by that is when they invaded, or when they not invaded, but when they took over Syria and Lebanon, Syria, let's say, they progressively installed Shia communities, took over houses that were left. And
Yes.
so I wonder, because there's a lot of ethnic cleansing in the Middle East, and nobody cares except if Israel does it. But I wonder if it's worth, because Syria is currently, the Syrian regime is currently attacking the Druze, maybe have them move closer to the Israeli border, give them free houses, and then they become a physical block against invasions.
Yes.
And Lebanon as well, also, because it's now been basically cleared. I wonder if it makes sense to have a group that are in hoc or at least not hostile, possibly even very positive towards Israel.
Yes, but that would require flexibility, and governments don't tend to be flexible. The Druze are now sitting in waiting for the future to be determined. The thing with Druze is since they are split along so many countries, that in order for them, the philosophy of survival for the Druze is to be loyal to the local government. This is why the Druze over the Golan Heights for many decades were openly against the Israeli government, because they thought that Israel is going to give back the Golan Heights to Syria, and the Syrians will get back at them for not being loyal. So now we have to, they are waiting for Israel to make a decision what is going to be the future of what formerly was Syria. And this is where they are. So if they shift, they will shift their loyalty to Israel. They're taking a very high-risk gamble. The Druze in 1948 fought against Israel until they realized that the IDF is winning, and they switched sides. And since then, they are the most loyal component of the Arab society in Israel. So they serve in the army, they serve in the police, they serve in all the security organizations with great success. But they try not to be sent to fight in Syria and to fight in Lebanon. Okay, so now they think there's no fighting anymore, so they are waiting to see what's the future. About the Druze of the Golan Heights being moved to Israel, this is something. This is
no, sorry, apologies. I didn't suggest that. I meant that since they're being persecuted and maybe even ethnically cleansed in Syria.
Yes.
Maybe they could find a safe place on the Syrian side of the Israeli border, so that they would, and because I know they already had good contact with Israeli Druze already, so it might be a physical blocking factor because they're likely to be less badly disposed towards Israel.
Okay, the reason why it is difficult to achieve is that it could be, it's a human thing, but it's also something very Islamic in a sense, even though they're not Muslims, is that the attachment to the land where their forefathers are, and they've been from the 12th century. They've been there. So to take such a crucial move, even though 10, 20, 50, 100 kilometers is something which they are reluctant to do. What they offer through their Israeli brethren, they offer to be a buffer zone, but in order to that, Israel needs to supply them, to train them. But it's a crucial decision. It's a gamble, which they're unwilling to take at the moment. So
Thank you very much.
They wait. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Schleifer. We'll meet
See
you
you
again next week. Thank you to all the participants, and good night from Israel.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.